Bruchim Habayim, Hoydul Hashem Ki Tov, reaching the final segment of the series of Shiurim in Taharas Hamishpacha. And the truth is, this year, after providing we have, Baruch Hashem, many were zeicha to refresh on the halachas and on hashkafa, on shalom bayis, super important. At this point, I want to point out that once shalom bayis is in place and the halachas are in place, you're ready to run. It's a tremendous kli. When a husband and a wife are on the same page, there are two shluchim invested in a shluchis. And then comes the question, what are the oiris that you bring into those kelim? What is the type of home that you envision, and you envisioned as a bacher, as a chassan kala, when you wrote to the Rabbi, how to actually turn that dream into a reality? And this is actually it's not a magic pill. It's not a, it's something we need to, these are questions that we need to ask ourselves, mizman lezman. However, and by Chassidim, there's a healthy drift. We're in a good sviva, and we're moving forward, but there's times to make a breakthrough. See, there's many, once we get involved in life, the daily grind, so it's like in your house, you're busy organizing all the different things and putting out fires and dealing with little nitty-gritty. You don't take a step back to restructure if you need, and replan. And that's the type of opportunity we want to take tonight, to take a fresh look at things, different aspects of our home that will make the home a Yiddishe home, the home that we wrote, committed to the Rabbi, the home the Rabbi envisions for each chassid of Deir HaShvi. And we'll do this together. It's going to be a little bit more Farbrengen style, so I'm going to say l'chaim. There's pens, there's paper. We'll go through kama v'kama nekudas. L'chaim, l'chaim. Should be dvar mayotzim in alev. We should take yifalu pulasam. Okay. So I'm going to start with ilulei loy nit nachsidus chas v'shalom. There's a Yiddishe home. The Rabbi benches a Yiddishe Shtub. Yisoid HaTorah v'Mitzvah kfi shemu'ar b'mar shebaTorah. What is a Yiddishe Shtub? A Yiddishe Shtub is predicated on basics. There are certain inyanim that are negea be'etzem. I'm not even talking about Sur Mirah. We're talking about the fact that there's kviyasitim. The tzir of a home is pashta bais mali sfarim. The Rebbe's takana. We're not even talking about using the sfarim. Pashta tzir of a Yiddishe home. I'm talking about even to the extent of practical things. Which magazines come in? Even in the bathroom, certain things belangenished. Right? I'm not going to name this magazine, that magazine. A Yiddishe home, the tzir of a Yiddishe home, a Yid, there's nothing that he does like a guy, as we heard earlier in the Ashkafa Shiurim. There's nothing that's endlich a Yiddishe guy. And oibin ufik, we have to make sure to take and to notice, take inventory of our homes, right? If a home, and which a home is, as the Rebbe teaches us, a migdash ma'at, it's a small base of migdash, which is a place for Torah, Tefillah, Tzedakah. There's no place for Disney characters in a kid's room. I mean, I don't want to bring examples, because when you bring examples for 50%, they can't believe Taka brought up such a mashal. It's a mufrach in ganzen. For the other half, they don't understand, like, what's the problem? So I'm going to try to keep it in the Nakuda, but there are certain things that we know. The Rebbe continuously reminds us, you have to be ready for Mashiach to come into your house. That's the lashon the Rebbe used. And Chassidim would give the Rebbe a key to their house. And Rabbi Lipsker, Al Shalom, just passed away. I just saw a clip. And he said, 2 o'clock in the morning, there's a knock at your door, Mashiach's here. Do you need to run to hide anything? This is a real cheshbon. So this is basic a Yiddishe Shtub. But then there is a Chassidische Shtub. Chassidische Shtub is much deeper. It's a Varimkeit. It's making sure not just that there's tefillah b'tzibur and the sur mirah is in place, but like the Rebbe quotes in a Yom Yom, that a chassidische Nigin stellt the ganze Haus bekeren eura, a chassidische Meise. I'll go more in examples, but I'm trying to just give the general understanding of where we're headed. To Pasha, take a fresh look, fresh pair of glasses, and have a look again at our home, the various aspects of our life. Some of them, and many of them, are in broad daylight. Sometimes we just don't, you just miss it. There's many examples, the famous mashal of the bike that goes through and trying to figure out, they're sifting through the sand. Sometimes, the yisaidis of what a child picks up as what's important to the parents, they're little things. But we're so busy with, we're busy paying a mortgage to have a house so the kinder could grow Yiddishe Home, but we don't have enough time for the kinder because we're so busy running around, working and doing for the kids, right? So sometimes if you take a step back and you think, the shlichus that we got from the Eibishter is the schus, to take these precious neshamas that are chatzuvis mitachas kisei hakavod, that are chelik elikam imal mamish, and the Eibishter entrusts us with these neshamas to develop them. And what are we doing in this vein besides providing for them shelter and sustenance, which is a huge bracha as well, Baruch Hashem. We have to daven to the Eibishter for that as well. But how do we convey the fact that it's our davening that brings that drives us, that it's their chinuch, and it's what drives us, what gives us chayis. What is our So I'm gonna take a step back. Okay, I'm just gonna tell you. Start with saying this nekuda. It's actually not in the home, but it's very important to the home. How did this shir come about? Okay, I'm just gonna share that. Okay, it's sitting in my mind for a while. I want to do a shir in Taharas Hamishpacha and a review for the community, part of my achrayis, tasked by the Badats to run this organization. And we did one, it was a while ago, it was 2 years ago. And I want to do it. How did it come about practically from just sitting and schlepping in my mind? So I'll be super honest. I'm part of a kehillah called Anshe Moshe in the corner of Crown Heights. I'm zeichet to be the Rabbi of the shul. But we have a seder, Simchas Torah. Anyone that wants a pasuk ata reisa, kol shkein a hakafa, you have to take halacha and limud Torah. Okay, and the truth is, it could be in any inyan connected to Torah, but primarily limud Torah. Anyone that takes, and everybody has to take halacha. Like there's no one that doesn't take halacha. We had someone that took up 50 years for Miftzah Mezuzah is going to put up 50 mezuzahs. But I'm saying, it's connected to limud Torah. And when you get the pasuk, it's going to be announced what was your achlata, and you'll get another pasuk. It's going to be announced again when you get akafa, and that's by night. Shmini Atzeret, Simchas Torah by day. By the end of Simchas Torah, everybody knows what your achlata is. The whole Ezras Nashim also knows, including your wife if she came. Everyone knows what your achlata is. And the next year, before you get a pasuk, the first atarei, so you have to say what was your achlata and where you're holding in your achlata. And if you didn't, you get not a mishapara, you get a mishachata. Everyone sings together, mishachata, yashav, yashav. Good. That's the seder. And I want to get it done. So I took achlata. I'm going to make sure that I'm going to, Be'ezras Hashem, this year, throughout the year, I'm going to make a series of Taharas Hamishpacha review for men in Crown Heights. Okay? So I want to point out that many of us don't realize we're casual, we flow. You have your class shul. You should know the shul where you daven is the shul where your child grows up. That's the tzir he has. And I'm not telling you in any way to change shuls. I'm just telling you, be present. Take note where you daven, and it doesn't mean you take a makom kavua. Sometimes, many of you, I'm sure everyone here not only goes to, many of you go to a specific shul, you could be super involved. You could be the gaba, you could be the treasurer or committee member, whatever you're doing. But noticing what this means to the children, your children, they should see you're an active member. When there's a farbrengen, do you stay? Do you say, let's listen to what the mashpiyas farbrengen, or do you take part in sharing, or even Pashat, appreciating the chassidische farbrengen? Just noticing the fact, this mere fact that the kehillah itself, where you daven, is a tremendous statement to yourself, to your mishpacha, and it's important. I'm not talking about the middle of the week. I'm speaking specifically Shabbos. I want to move on. Let's say move on to another subject. Okay, Shabbos in general. There's one time a week, and these are very important nekudas. I'm involved in chinuch for almost 2 decades now, and what I'm telling you is gruntig. It's not just like a svara. Okay, there's one time in the week that Yiddishkeit and Elokus is on display in your house. It's the Shabbos table. There's only one such opportunity, and don't kid yourself. It's not picture perfect. Nobody's house, exactly the way the way they would draw a picture. The Malchus pictures. The way they draw these beautiful. It's not necessarily picture perfect, but when you know that this is the showtime, this is this, and it's not for showcha. That Tzemach Tzedek says in Derech Mitzvah that there's a havamin you should make ala chilas kachim on Suda Shabbos. It's similar to karbanis. In karbanis, there's no birurim. You're not eating the carbon to be mevara the flesh. You're eating it l'tzoyrach gavoya, like koyin oichel bailam iskaprim. So be'etzem Suda Shabbos is the same because there's no boirer on Shabbos, so there's no birurim. Asher lochein be'etzem Suda Shabbos you should have made ala chilas kachim, the same bracha you make on a carbon. So it's not for show chas v'shalom, but by understanding that this is the place where your children get the Messiah, and doesn't mean everyone's going to sit by the table, doesn't mean everyone's going to say their divrei Torah, but plan, because you're the face of the Suda Shabbos. If you waste it on the President of the United States of America, it's not only, it's a bizayin to bring it up, but I'm saying it. You're a shliach, you need to make small talk. Your kids should know what Shabbos Suda means by you, and you want to bring people in. Everything I'm saying has to be taken in context of what your avoids, where you're holding, where you're at, who your guests are, what your shlichas are. There's a vart to the Baal Shem Tov, powerful vart. He asks, I wasn't planning to share this, but it's in the spirit of a farbrengen. Baal Shem Tov asked, what's the hayra from the fact that Avram Avinu sent away. He left the Eibishter. The Eibishter came to visit him when he was a B'yem Ashlishi. He left the Eibishter and went to greet the guest. From there we learned, why do we need to know that? Nobody over here, at least speak for myself, the Shechina is coming, and I'll leave the Eibishter and say, okay, I'm going to go greet the guest. Why isn't it negeh for us to know that so the Baal Shem Tov says, he says that sometimes Achnasas Archim comes at the expense of Avak Lashon Hara and Bittul Torah. Sometimes you have guests, and that's an example. As I like the Baal Shem Tov. If he wouldn't say it, I don't know if we could say it, but he said that's Pshat Derech Achnasas Archim Yosem Kabbalas Pnei Shechina. You leave the Shechina on the side and you spend time talking what interests them. But your kids could know and should know what the nefesh of your Suda Shabbos is. And then they'll understand in that context. So there's a lot of practical things you could do. No house is picture perfect, and when kids grow up, there's this type and that time. Baruch Shem Levi gives us gifts. But you're the island of calm. If you prepare a story or have at least a book of stories that you could read a Chassidus Shemaisa from, they know there's the nigunim. There's nigunim. Before Shabbos, you could choose, say, because all the kids share what they learn throughout the week, we're going to buy special desserts. Spend on Shabbos. There's a taisis. It's not part of the whole cheshbon. That's niktz of Mirosh Hashanah. How much money he's going to have? It's not included. The cheshbon of Suda Shabbos. Okay, Shabbos Yom Tov. In Beyo there's a taisis. So spend. And we're not talking about grishval and a gelta. I'm not talking about a 20-year-old bottle of wine. I'm telling for the kinder. Take them. Let them choose a special dessert. Spend on Shabbos extra. They should see what you're invested in. If you put your money where your mouth is, it's not enough just to believe that the Shabbos is gross and your wife, Takesh Shmach, she works hard to prepare the Shabbos. You want to display the yoker of Shabbos. Okay? So what I'm saying may sound very, very basic, but you should know these nekudas, when you stop and you notice, this is where the message is transferred to your children. The home you're building What do they know from their home? What does the child know from their home? There's a lot of information coming in from yeshiva, but there's many things they need to know from the parent, what's important. And I mentioned this last series, but I'm going to say it again. It doesn't matter how. Sometimes a child, he has this teacher, he has that teacher, and you're sure, okay, the mechanchim are taking care, it's under control. You should know nothing replaces the two pillars of a child's life, his father and his mother. And if something's very dear to his father and his mother, if the teacher, it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter what other people think. In his heart, it's super important. And the vice versa, the flip side is also true. If a teacher could talk to, he's blue in the face and get excited about an inyan and be mafli, what it means to march Lag BaOmer. The Rebbe says, Metanz mit Rashbi, you're marching in front of the Rebbe. And there's stories, and when he comes home, the mother makes a comment, the father could make by mistake a comment, he's busy. In a very deep place, it's irrelevant, because it's very deep. And I'm not saying this as Muslim, I'm saying this that Beruba Mida Toiva, when you realize how powerful a father's acknowledging and appreciating, Pasha practice, let's just talk money. If you're sitting by your Shabbos table and your son says his Dvar Torah and you say, we're so lucky that you have him as a teacher. Who's your teacher? He's your teacher. The money you're pouring into tuition has doubled its value. You're getting more bang for your buck. In a very deep place, what he says means, but we don't sometimes stop to think about these things. That's what we're here for. So we spoke about the shul, we spoke about the Shabbos table in your home. And as we all know, the children, they're watching. They watch what you do. You have to, it's very important, I said this many times, I'll say it again, it's important for a child to see his father working on himself. It's outdated. The mahalach that a child has to look at his father like a Muslim is outdated for many, many reasons, and for great reasons. I'll just give two of them. First of all, you don't want to train him as if he believes he could be perfect. The Alter Rebbe geschrieben, a ganze Sefer, explained that it's impossible, right? And we should get comfortable with the fact that we're baining him, to the extent that a Beinoni should get comfortable with and have a geschmack, the fact that he has a machshava zara or machshava sniya in the middle of davening, because it's a simon that his davening is good. So what are you going to tell your child, that there's mamash a tzir Muslim and he'll be climbing up a straight wall and banging into it? That's first of all. But even more important, it's inevitable that at some point your child is going to see that, not Krishma chas v'shalom, but you weren't wearing two makifim when you made Birkas HaMazon, which is a deraisa. I don't know. Somewhere he's going to see it's life. And when he knows, and then at that point, everything goes out with it. If you're trying to portray yourself a Muslim, don't. Be very honest. I'm working on myself. Because if you work on yourself and your children know about it, he's not your mashpia. You don't have to tell him everything you're working on. But if he knows that you are working on yourself, so then you should know he'll be comfortable surpassing you also. I know children that pass their parents in the level of Chassidishkeit, the level of Yiddishkeit, and it's not a stira in their mind. They don't look down at their parents because my parents has a different design. It's fine. But the yisoid that my parents, so you should know it's okay. It's okay to sit by Chassidische Verbringen and discuss a dilemma, reinsagen nach Chassidische Wort, and so this is very, very important. I mean, this is another yisoid. Your child should be able to hear, and he should be. You could talk yourself through. You could say, I had this havamin. I was wondering what I should do. L'mais, I decided I'm going to push myself, and this is what I'm going to do. That's 10 times more valuable than you explaining to your children that this is the right way to do it. So, it was hard for me, and this is what I did. And then when it's hard for him, in his world, he'll do, this is Yisoida is V'amad HaChachmas, in Avodas Hashem. I want to share a few words about a Chassidische Verbringen, because it's also Yisoid. And it's very Yisoidistic, okay? You want Be'ezras Hashem to be a lichtige Chassidische Shtub, you want to bring and make a chassidische farbringen in your home. It's your achrayus to make sure your house appreciates a chassidische farbringen. Okay? How do you do that? It's very simple, but you just need to stop and realize. I'll describe imagine your wife worked hard and she mamish made dips and she prepared guacamole with kol minei Sachen, and then a whole bunch of friends rocked up and with gesetzt and gelacht. There was nothing. It was just dvarim betelim, catching up on whatever. So for sure, there's shchina shrui b'neim, if there's a kol be'asara shchinta sharia and kol minei gute Sachen. But the fact is, she's not running to prepare another farbringen. Or for that matter, you going to a farbringen or coming late home on Shabbos when she's fasting, it's okay if when you come home and you're inspired and you say, I want to share something I heard about I want to share a story. We're at a vart and du lepzach up, and she sees as a different person, she'll ask you when's the time next time you're going to a farbringen. You know, there wasn't a chassidische farbringen in our house for a long time. But it's our achrayus not only not to be Rachmana litzlan masniyai, to cause Rachmana litzlan. I think it says l'chaim and it says more than 4, and comes home, it's a mess. Then Rachmana litzlan, we be part of masniyai. We're not teaching our children the value of a chassidische farbringen. A chassidische story. You know, there's Shimon HaKofer. You heard of Shimon HaKofer? In Vilna, he went and he was transferring children to Berlin. A whole story. He was in Vilna by the Gra, and at some point they tried to break into the Chassidim, and so nicht gelungen. And his famous story, he came to visit Alter Rebbe, and Alter Rebbe asked him what's pshat, how does he teach the children? Vayarach esreach b'gadov, inireach b'ni kireach asada. And then by Asa Farkert, and he said he doesn't teach them the Medrash. And the Alter Rebbe said he smelled the reich of Gehenim, the Niftach Tachta, something like that, if I remember correctly. Didn't see it in a long time. And the Alter Rebbe looked at him and he ran away. He understood. The Alter Rebbe saw through him. The Alter Rebbe smelled the smell of Gehenim. But there's a letter that they found that he wrote to his superiors that we're not going to be matzliach to break in to the world of Chassidim. Why? He said, as long as the mothers they wash their hands and they wipe it on their apron before they say the Rebbe's name and they tell a story of the Rebbe, we're done. That's the koyach of Yiddishe Home. And it's something that we need to strengthen each other. You have a partner in the shlichus. Your better half, your Rebbetzin, is your partner, is Mereshis HaKoil, she's half of your neshama. You have the same shlichus. You have to get on the same page, misman l'sman. And could be, so my wife, she eats this and this. She's whatever, this standard, that standard. It's okay. You're not there to be mechanech her. But you should know there is a way that you can up the standard, both of you. It's not a problem on a Yom Pagra to farbring together and to share what you're going to take on yourself, and she knows you better than everyone else. And if you decide to take achlata, she can also. And what can we do better? How can we do this better? Yeah, it's committing, definitely. That's where a real person, that's where where Torah is real. So this is on the subject of farbringens, of chassidische farbringens, but it applies to many, many other areas. Avodas tefillah, for example. Okay, I had a chaver, just before he got married, I was discussing with him. So we were discussing, there was a specific bacher. He decided he's going to put his foot down. Right after he gets married, I'm going to come home 3 o'clock just to set the standard what's going to be in the Seder in our house Shabbos. He's going to come 3, 4 o'clock to Shabbos, Sheva brachas nach. Everybody's going to know. Before that, he doesn't make Kiddush in the house. Good. I want to tell you, from after that Shabbos till today, he comes like a tatala, like clockwork. He's at home right after the minyan. Sometimes she lets him off for another 10 minutes for the Kiddush, okay? But if you come home, and you come home a little, you say, listen, this Shabbos I came 10 minutes later. I want to tell you, as a bacher, I would stay to daven longer. in another half an hour. Can I stay? Yeah. And you come over, you say what mimer you learned. What did you deher? What are your thoughts? Then at some point when life gets busy, first of all, she'll say you can daven longer. She'll see you're a different person. She'll see that you're growing. And then at some point she'll tell you, maybe I'll keep the kids Shabbos in the morning. You should go learn Chassidus and you could daven. Okay? You're Moledes, she'll let you go do a Shabbos in Yeshiva, Chveis, whatever floats. If this is the way that you can raise up the bar of your family. It's not, you don't tell people what to do. It doesn't work that way. But Isha Ksheira Oysa Retzayin Baila, if you can express things that you appreciate, she'll move in that direction. A woman is be'atzma makabel, unless you start breaking the kli. And that's our achrayis to turn our home into a varm Yiddishe home. Another important, I'm just going to share this and then apply it. Many know that I'm involved in Rambam. Okay, I give shiurim in Rambam, whatever it is, and there's no one that gets away without spending time with their wife. There's no one that gets away without tending to karmi shali, to your keren. And therefore, any time you spend out of your house is at the expense of your wife and your children at the end of the day. She's changing the diaper, she's putting them to sleep, right? And you must be cognizant of that. And there's a way that the maybe less time you'll be home, but will be much more valuable because you're completely present. If you're busy texting so you could be there for 2 hours and say you're not with me. Okay, and she's also right, mind you. But because your brain is... But I'll just tell you the way it works by me, okay? So then what I had to say that when I was giving the shir and I'm preparing, it's an hour in the morning and then the whole time in the afternoon, it's a whole big project. So every sefer that we finished, I bought a supper for the family. Don't make supper tonight. I'll bring pizza, fish mitrais, or some sushi, whatever it is, and the kids, whatever it is, you change. And it became a thing in the family. There's a siyum. Tati finished a sefer in Rambam. So one day, I don't know what it was. It was leftovers from a simcha or something was now. One son telling the other son that they finished a sefer in Rambam. Okay, so you should know that celebrate your ruchnistik atzlachas with your family, not only because you want to teach them, because it's at their expense, and not only at their expense, you want to do it on their behalf. I'm not going to chaza. Everybody knows Rabbi Heller's famous Torah that men and women are not equal. A whole you'll do the dishes and I'll do that. They have different avodas, but that only works if they appreciate. If you taka tzir, if you taka do. You're doing something for the family. So while she's washing clothing and preparing food and washing the dishes, etc., and tending to the children for the family, you're learning Torah, you're davening, you're bringing Chassidishkeit, you're bringing Yiddishkeit for the family. Then you're equal partners, but your avodas are different avodas. You're both bringing to the pot. You're both investing, but that has to be developed. You have to show. It has to be taka real. So this is on the subject of shiurim that you take on. There's nobody that I know, al kapanim, that does something beyond the basics, is matzliach to be poil, whether it's in the public arena or whether it's shiurim, that doesn't tend to the shalom bayis and invest in it. Because at the end of the day, you need your partner. You need your partner, and you need your partner to celebrate it. Not only to agree, and not only to understand. You need your partner to appreciate, and therefore you have to bring her on board. Okay? V'hoya, if Rachmana litzlan, she's embittered about it, maybe you're saving the whole world. But what do you think your kids are going to be doing when they're going to be older? Are they going to be doing what you're doing? Definitely not, because she's at home setting the tone that it's bitter when the father does that. So it's part of your shlichus. It's part of your shlichus on so many levels to bring them on board, because you're going to have hard days and they're going to be there to support you. Okay, is that a good reason? Because you're going to bring Bali Tshuva home and they're going to want to see that the family, so that how real life looks. You want to make sure that you bring them and they appreciate it. Not just they bring them on board and they agree, but they develop a geschmack, whether it's through food, like I said, by when you make a siyum. Celebrate the success. If you made an event for I'm saying whatever it is, I'm just using this mashal, but let's say every chassid has to be, the Rebbe teaches us. Everybody, it's not just, we're zeichet to be Shevet Levi. Okay, it's today's Chumash. The Rambam says, Lo Shevet Levi Blvd, anybody that decides to dedicate himself, we make us a chassid machta sviva. And whatever it is, whether it's a shir, whether it's a guest, whether it's a big, something that you were matzliach, celebrated with your family. Baruch Hashem, we were matzliach, we did something. I'm talking about whether it's shlichus or whether it's stay shlichus over here, stay shlichus in chinuch. You completed a sefer. Make it a celebration of your family. Take them out somewhere. I'm saying your family. Take them on a trip. They are your partners in shlichus. To your balabatim, would you neglect them? You wouldn't neglect your balabatim. Don't neglect. She's your biggest balabas. Okay, I'm saying this, but whatever. Okay. Now I want to spend a little bit of time on kashrus. Okay. When the Rebbe launched Mivtza Kashrus, it was a Farbrengen. I actually printed the sicha so we can go through it together. It's over here. It just has over here the part, it's from the Kodesh Chel Yud Gimel Amud 260. It's in the Isafis. It's part of a Farbrengen. And I'll share with you what the Rebbe is talking about before, but the Rebbe is explaining why he launched Mivtza Kashrus and Taharas Hamishpacha, because he sees that there's a Yerida Beruchnius. I'm going to use, just to say it in other words, there's many children like their OTD, okay, that are passing sich in fremde Felder. That's more comfortable for you. And the Rebbe addresses this by Mivtza Kashrus, and it's interesting. Stam, even Yehuda Lekra, Punjab Moshe Yedele Blanda was in Toronto, and he said from the way he sees the youth, there definitely is a problem with Kashrus, the way they're sliding, and this is a real thing. You have mothers telling their children, look at the ingredients. If it has red 60, what's it called? Red 40, or R40, some kishkush. If it's negea to you, what the ingredients are, you should know that there's levels in kashrus. There's a difference between ashgachas. Be educated, not just educated because you want to be machmir and passel what someone else is eating, because it's negea to you. If it's negea to you, what type of food coloring is in here, or whatever other. There are many, I'm not going to mention, because again, if I mention one, it sounds like the other. I'm not going to mix into what potato chips and what Bishli Yisrael and kol minei sugyas that are known, cereals, kol minei zachen. You discuss it with your Rav and your Mashpia. But for them to know that it's negea to you, it's not just random. So the Rebbe brings this, and the Rebbe talks about the fact that something that's not kosher affects a person's personality, his way of thinking. And there's a sikh where the Rebbe says, even if it was mutter for him to eat it la halacha, but still, so made it mutter, but the negative traits that come with it are still there. Let's have a look for a second. This is Mamish, the Rebbe spoke by Farbrengen. The Rebbe said, Mvur b'sfarim. It's explained in Sfarim. Ga michach me'ateva, I guess a certain form of science. Shativim v'anetiyah shel adam, the tendencies of a person and his nature is in a tremendous way are affected from the type of food that he eats and drinks. This morphs into his flesh and blood. It's just as the effect of the food, it impacts his body. This dictates his spirit, his nefesh. And nefesh could mean ratzon. Uvas lichter. Check what he eats. If you eat meat from a chaya that she's toirif, predator, so nimshech gam benefesh, tchunas achzarius, the viciousness comes, a person digests it, becomes part of his personality. So this is an hergish. What is his emotional approach to things? Let me say it in other oisis, because we're bringing together. What do you have a meshicha to? What are you drawn to? Do you appreciate a midah tova? It says it's a bracha if a person has a chush and avas yisrael. Geshmak to help. When you go to a chasna, you celebrate, you're happy for your friend. We try to tell this to our children. Be happy for your friends. If he got hurt, go over to him. Be nice about oil, right? Feel his pain, calm him down. Show him empathy. So the Rebbe says beyond that, it's also in the seichel. It's not just the emotional, his emotional approach to things. On his intellect. In the style that he understands. We want our children to be able to chapa taisus, should be able to chapa gemara, should be able to understand. If he's being nurtured by coarse and grubba foods, I skipped over here. This affects grubkeit in a person's head. The mind is tzolul, is much more clear. There's clarity and havana zaka and more refined understandings when a person eats machalim zakim. And the Rabbi says, move on. When we're not just talking about seichel, we're talking about seichel of Torah. When we want our children to have a geshmak in Torah, for sure, something that streif has ashpa. So I'm not chas v'shalom, nobody here is playing with kashrus. But a child should know what is the problem. A child should be able to say, just like a kid says, listen, my mother doesn't let me eat this. I'm only allowed to eat that, or what it's R40, whatever the thing is. We eat this hashgacha. We only eat, I'm not going to bring examples, but we don't eat this. We do eat that, not because you're better than someone else, because they're makpid. This is hashgacha that they know, our chsid, our yid in Yerushalayim, and they rely on it. That's all you're saying. Masha'enkin, a person goes into a restaurant and he says, I'm going to eat it. It doesn't look like they checked the lettuce. Let's say in one given specific scenario, after Rav's cheshbon. The Rav signed, I'm eating on his cheshbon. His mom is a clear place. Rabbi says, okay, the fact that it's mutter for you to eat could be, but it's not. If there's a problem there, kashrostik, it's impacting you, and these are things. These are real. And there's a mamish. There's a letter if this is needed. There's mamish on the bottom. You have over here. It's from Igros Kodesh. A letter. The Rebbe is pashat convincing a person. I happen to know the name. Rabbi Brian is the one that told me the name and what the backstory of this is. That there was a chassid that his child, as far as the child wanted to eat frankfurters, but once upon a time the cases of the frankfurters, of these hot dogs, I guess, were made out of. So then it doesn't seem like it was chazer chas v'shalom. It wasn't not kosher, but it was of lesser kashrus. And lesser kashrus is not how long the bard of the shoichet is, or the mashgiach. Lesser kashrus, they're relying on certain heterim. You should know this. These are real things. And it's fine if that's your level and you discussed it with the Rav. So everybody grows on their level, like we said. And but you have to kashrus should be negir for you. Should be a subject that you want to tell your children. This is what we eat. This is how we eat it. This is so you're making a bracha, etc. So there was a certain child that would only eat. He wasn't eating regular flesh, and they needed him to eat protein. And this chassid, Bemis a chassid, wrote to the Rebbe, his son wants to eat this frankfurter. It's the only thing, and he doesn't know what to do. It's going to help him learn. It's going to help him if he doesn't eat. And the Rebbe Mamish goes on a mission to convince him out of it. And so Kolshkin, we to ourselves. Mamish, look at it. The Rebbe starts explaining to him that it connects the neshama and the guf. When a person eats, it connects the neshama and the guf, and that the way they connect is dependent on the food that's the fuel. And I'm just going to theorize this because I'm going to go to the next Nakuda. But the Rebbe, the main point that I want you to note in this second part, the Rebbe says, based on the Hidur, how Mahudr it is, that's how deep the Lakus can penetrate within him. It's not just staying away from something that's not kosher because it could get in the way. The Hidur, accepting an additional refinement and taking on another Hidur in kashrus, it has a deeper effect. Okay, I want to talk for a few minutes. This clock is not for real, so where are we at? Okay, we're still another 20 minutes. Okay, good. We want our child to know. They say, "What is a beinani?" What's a beinani? A beinani is he lives what he wants his children to be. So I could be a zay nazay, but you know what? But my child, I want him to be someone that lives his life the way he wants his child to look. That's a beinani, okay? Because that's where we want to be. So you should know that we want our children to, we want ourselves, our neshama yearns that it should be negea to us, a hidur. What is a hidur? What's the difference between a hidur and a chumrah? Chumrah means you're stringent. You're machmir to another shitta. Hidur is you want to beautify the mitzvah. And our children should see there's a mitzvah. Where is your juice? Where are you ready to spend? There's a very beautiful thing I saw by Peilisher. And I'm not saying this has to be your achlata, because punkt by us is nishtazai. But they shear, for them, they get all excited about how much they spent on an esrig. It's a funny thing. It's not even looking at the esrig. I spent $400. Can I see the esrig? It's not even a get. His esrig looks like whatever. It doesn't matter. How much did he spend on the esrig? Okay? And you should know, I'm not taking that as the example, but where does your child know, where's your juice? Where can he, what do you get excited about? And a lot of times, well, always, they see, there's a little pair of eyes watching you. Just tell you, share you something personal by me. I had this, it's a funny hidur. As a bacher already, I don't know, as I was given, when I go to mikveh in the morning, I take my yarmulke until the boyer. I don't even know where I started, who I saw it from. I take my yarmulke until the boyer, and it always comes with a balagan, because sometimes it slips and it gets wet. It doesn't matter. I take it till the boyer, and I do it so I don't even notice. Like whenever I go, I take it, put it. I don't give it much thought. And I'm saying this is kadmas dina. I'm talking about the dreisik yar. It's going on. I never spoke about it with my kids, but all of a sudden a while ago I noticed both in different instances, both sons, they take the yarmulke to the bar. It's funny, little kids. They take the yarmulke, they put it down. And you should know they're watching. What you tell them you want them to see, not necessarily say, okay, now watch, here's where chinuch is. They don't notice that. They notice what you're doing, bein chal bein atzmacha. And therefore it's nagea to take think, what am I cutting out of myself to give? What's my hidur? What's my zoyer tfei? Avuch, not only that, it's a memra shagar b'gemara, avuch b'ma v'zar tfei. What was your father's koch? Think for a second. What would they say about you? In was kochst du sich? This is a real question you can ask yourself, because it's a cheshbon nefesh to how outwardly you show things that are very personal. The Rebbe could be super personal in your life, but it could be so deep and such a deep hergish that liba lepumala galya. You're not going to talk about it. If you don't talk about it, they won't hear it. It's as simple as that. Okay? So what do they think about you and what you're excited about? That's a real cheshbon nefesh. How verbal are you? How expressive are you about the things you're passionate about? And I'll share a few examples that are negat to the Rebbe, that the Rebbe wants us to be passionate about, that you can make that cheshbon for yourself. How central do they know a Rav is in your life? Okay, you know the Rebbe. There's a place the Rebbe says there's a davening in a shul. You should daven in a shul where there's a Rav, so your child sees that you can go after davening and you give good Shabbos to the Rav. It's the Rebbe's word. Imagine.
It's nagea for a child to see the place a Rav takes in your life. Asei l'charav. Did he ever hear? I'm sure you ask your mashpia when there's big decisions. Which school my son should learn in? Should he learn limudei chol? Should he not learn limudei chol? Which cholamoyed trip we should go? You ask the Rav. In certain cases, it's very okay for your child. Not only very okay, if you want him to have that value, you have to share. We discussed with our mashpia. We were thinking and we decided azay and azay. We were thinking, should we travel to this and this chasana? And we thought about it. We discussed with our mashpia. It's not for us, or it is for us. Got the bracha of our mashpia. Or going back to what we said earlier, being when by the Shabbos table you could express appreciation for the teacher. It's the same. The nekuda here is asel charav. We discussed earlier by Ismail's farm the tzir of a Yiddishe home. Now we're discussing the oyer in the kli. What is the atmosphere in your house? What is the kach? You come into a house. What is the passion in your shtub? What do they know is negat to their father? These are things that we so many of us, and actually I shouldn't say so many of us, all of us at times don't notice these things. We don't have time for these things. We're busy making sure we're doing what we need to do. But you should know that our shlichus, our children won't do what we're doing. They'll do what they appreciate. What they see we appreciate doing. Moshe was once asked why you have parents that went on Mesiras Nefesh outside of America, and they came to America, and the children give it up, Rahman al-Islam, without even, So Moshe said, because there's a common krechts going on. It was like a oiver l'seicher then, called Shvertz Zayin Yid. So Shvertz Zayin Yid, it's hard to be a Yid. I don't need the Shverikite. The next generation, we can't say again. They saw a father that learned a shtickle Gemara came. He felt accomplished when he understood. A piece of Gemara. He came with something to Shabbos, and this is so we need to make that cheshbon, and it's for real. I just wrote it down, and I don't know. So I could share it with a name. Because my shviger was once in our house, and she forgot, by mistake, ate. She forgot that she was within the 6 hours. I don't know if it was the milchik to the fleishik, whatever it was. She stood for a half an hour in the bathroom, like sticking her finger in and trying. The whole house knew about it. It was like everyone was. It was ungevetig the issue. I'm saying it was, but it's something that kids never forget, and you don't do it to make as if it has to be negir for you. Such a thing. It doesn't say that you have to do that. But if it's mufrach by a person, there's Yiddishe instincts. And the more we are permeated with what you put into your mouth or what you take out of your mouth, and what's kosher gelt and what's not kosher gelt. I heard by the Zirkin Mishpacha, Rabbi Yitzchak Zirkin al that money that he didn't earn, he didn't want. People give you this and give you that. You could face it. I'm just giving you hasagis. I'm not telling you this has to be your hiddur, but I'm just giving you hasagis. Everybody has their zohir tfei, but you should have a zohir, because that zohir, meloshin zohir, that carefulness. I want to say stringency. That special hiddur that you have, that's the aver in the house, because that's what you're passionate about. That's what they can cut in the ear. And what's nagea to you, everybody knows, like such a thing. They know that for her is nagea. Her body shouldn't have inside something that the Eibishter doesn't approach. If I'm saying a story about her, I'll say another thing. My wife, as a girl, she was supposed to go. She was in Eretz Yisrael, and she was supposed to come home for Pesach. And she was for sure coming home for Pesach. It was seminary, and she, afterwards, to get closer to getting married, she wanted it. There was a flight booked, or like upon money put away for a flight booked. And then Atzav Shlichus came up to go to Russia for Pesach. To help children, they make a camp so the kids don't eat chametz for 7 days, for the duration of Pesach, for 8 days. So she wasn't planning, she didn't want. They pushed her enough to write to the Rabbi. She wrote to the Rabbi, and the Rabbi wrote, she got a bracha to go, and it mentioned tzedakah, that they should donate to tzedakah. So her mother decided that the money that she put away for the ticket should go to fly to Russia. She donated to the shliach, and also the rest of the money. So from the money that she was planning from Eretz Yisrael to fly to Canada, she and her friend flew to Russia. These are things, tzedakah, meiser. It's a separate subject because we're bringing, so we're going from one to the next. I just take note. This is a new Indian. Money. Is money everything? My kids know there was a person that was so poor the only thing he had was money. Okay? What's money? What do you do for a living? That's the first Yiddishe question. Maybe what does he learn? What does he kochzachin? How much of a hergish alaki does he have? Does he have a geschmack in mitzvahs? It's something that people daven for. Everything is gelt. So you want to teach your children. We're able to take. The Eibishter put us in a place. We don't need to have a yacht. We have a room in a Chabad house that we sponsored. Good. A gvir. Why a gvir? This is real. It's real currency. They won't know that it's real currency. They could think it's just you have your name somewhere. These are thoughts that you need to cultivate, and you need to do his boinunus for Zech Alein, because the emes is. There are certain things that dietary that B'teva person appreciates, but so maybe it's avoid the pnimis that we need to do. But tzedakah, meiser, the kids should know. You sponsor, you're happy. You want to be able to. We gave tzedakah. You know what? Here you see on a man, you give him. You know. And gelt is a real thing because the default is. They pick it up in the ear in the States over here. That money is very important. I'm not even talking about the other accessories that people are living like out of their means. And just to be able to show off. That's for sure you want to be oiker with the roots. But gelt bechlal, it's working against us. It's a big deal. His father. There's no fathers. Baruch Hashem, you know what we have? I didn't know what my father does for a living until after my bar mitzvah. I just never knew. I knew he goes to this and this company. It was a zeitige thing. We just knew that he was telling us that he would drive. He was telling us that this time he took him longer to go home because he drove this and this way because there's a gas station where there's someone that puts on film over there when he comes to gas. Very near gas. So we knew that he drives and there's a gas station. That was the whole story, and you should know that's what if the whole life and today you're on your phone and you're sending messages, the money and the business and your work is in your house, in your pocket, and therefore we have a lot more to combat. And same goes b'chlal for Yiddishe Home. Today, a kid, what he sees in one bus ride home, collectively in a shtetl, they saw in 40 years. It's not so pashut the streets here when it's getting warm outside. It's not pashut. We have to combat that a million times over with extra Yiddishe Home, and you don't have to tell them leisasuru. They just need to see that you have a filter on your phone. Yeah, you could have a wonderful Yiddishe shtub, and just dedicate a minute to internet. Okay. It's a big problem and a bigger problem. What are we going to do? I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about a simple thing. You have a Yiddishe Home, and you have one of the most powerful tools in Limud HaTorah. I feel like I'm a shliach to WhatsApp or something. There's endless amount of Torah you could teach and spread and learn and access bligvul sfarim today, and the resources are just getting greater and greater. And today it's not so much, obviously a filter you need to have, but it's about teaching our children how to use and what it's for. I'll bring an old mashal for this. Rabbi Brian, I was going through with the Rav, the shir, different things we're going to cover because he's the vad of Taharas Habayis. And he said he remembers he came into a house when videos were new. And there was a video machine, and on the video machine it was cut out, like it was typed, but it was cut out. Mukdosh ach v'rak l're'iyas pnei chak ad mashdita. This is dedicated only to see videos of the Rebbe. Okay? So you should know that if the children know that ach v'rak, it's to do my work because I serve the Eibishter, and you have to be able to, and the way he'll know that you do to serve the Eibishter is when it's time of davening and you don't have a blue thing blinking from your talis, someone else listening to you, or that you could close it when it's time to learn, or he sees you using it for the right things. We need to train our children. Obviously, putting the guards in place and don't give open access and kol minei zachen, that's not the discussion today. The standards of tznius. Okay, tznius is like a word that we say to the ladies. It's like a whole sugya. There's like a whole trauma around it. So don't do that. Don't do it that way. But if you appreciate certain things, what a husband appreciates speaks to the way a woman wants to be seen. And there is a way without saying do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that. Definitely don't just say it's her department, because Isha Ksheir Oyser Retzayim Baila, she does what her husband really wants. Okay? The word of the Tzemach Tzedek. That Isha Ksheir Oyser Retzayim Baila. If she's doing it, that's really somewhere deep that you do want it. So it is our achrayus. How? You need to be very wise. Your daughters, Bezras Hashem. There's a way to go about things to show what you appreciate, and when they're very young, if you can it's not all about rules. If it's it's much more about what you appreciate, and you're able to say, wow, look at that haircut. If you tell a boy when he's little, it's a haircut, look at that. Oh, when you'll be that age, I want you to look like this, looks like a bacher. And then when he's going to come that age, he's going to tell you, I want a mushroom haircut. What is he going to... From younger age, he's embarrassed to ask her such a thing. It's not because it's no. It's not even part of the discussion. It's from left field. And you should know, that's the type of aver we want in our home. Not farchen yokt and bos mizol nishtan, but what you're taka excited about. And these are all, really, this is one long cheshbon and nefesh, this entire shir, is thinking, Pashad, what are we excited about? What is the hain? What are we living for? The lama yarda neshama lamata. The neshama came down to this world with a mission. Okay? I say the Shalom Ramosha Rubin used to say, it's mamish, like I'm saying, it's like without a cheshbon, but it says, Lamata Yosef, Lamata Menashe, Gadi ben Susi. He used to say, Lamata Yosef. The neshama came Lamata for Yosef to add Gila Lakus in this world. What happens B'Poyel? What happened B'Poyel? Lamata Menashe, when it came down here B'Poyel, Menashe, it says Kinashana, he forgot what he's doing. Now imagine a person, you ever happen to you, go into a room and you're scratching your head, what did I come in here for? I came here for something, I just don't remember. And you feel like a dope. You're standing and you're waiting to try to remember what you came to look for. So you feel like a nar. So he said, a person, Lamata is Lamata Menashe, Gadi, Agzia in Russian and Polish is Zog. Is it not Ben Susi? It's not a little ferd. The neshama came down all the way here, and then he forgot what he's doing down here, and he got caught up with a paycheck and a thing. So you should know, this is what we're here for. What taka is our neshama? Lama yarda neshama lamata. Till now, the entire series was discussing how we make sure us and our partners on the same page. We build strong foundations for our home. Now we're talking about take it and run with it. Where are you running? How is the home, the Beis Chabad that you're creating, whether it's for your primary shlichus in life, chassidische nachas from the kinder, or, and I'm saying this primary shlichus, not stam, this is a bar the Rebbe said to Mrs. Gorelik. The Rebbe in the Chafs was discussing them. The goals could even be before Chafs. Discussing the goal of their shlichus, and the Rebbe mentioned like a whole bunch of different initiatives they should be involved in. And then the Rebbe feared those, the Iker Kala Ikrim. So they were thinking, what could Iker Kala Ikrim be, right? Maybe it's intermarriage. The Rebbe said, Iker Kala Ikrim Chsidish Nachas from the kinder. your primary shlichus, and like I mentioned earlier, because that's what's going to help you, that's your base, that's going to make sure also you can bring others into that environment. So now is the time to sit down to think. When it's a Yom of the Pagra, it's Shavuos, what is it about? Cheesecake. I mean, cheesecake is good. It's Minhag Yisrael, but at least it should be, it's the Minhag Yisrael, okay? Mitoch Simcha, you don't have to fool yourself that, you know. But together with that, you want to incorporate the mission. This is what we're here for. There's many more in Yonim. The time is a little short. Kviyas Sitim L'Torah is very important. If you're involved in the shul, you know, organizing shiurim, mashpia, writing to the Rebbe, traveling to the Rebbe. I'm saying these are inyanim that you want. These are real values that Chassidim. This is at the heart of what we are. I'm just going to mention them because we won't have a lot of time to go through them. But I would say this. You know, the difference between a gvir and a araman is not how much, a poor person is not how much money he has in his bank account. You could have a person that has less money right now, and he's still a gvir. He lost some money, but that's, in his mind, this is how business goes. He's still reich, okay? And a poor person, even if he has a lot of money, just won the lottery, he's still going to spend it like this, and he's still in sein cup. He's flattening out all the, he didn't become a gvir. You should know, a chassid is reich. The fact that we have in our lives, we have nisyonis, whether it's with Bana, whether it's with Chaya, whether it's Mezoina. Don't underestimate them. When I'm describing things here the way we want it to be, that's in your mind, that's the goal. Every incremental upgrade is a tremendous, I'm saying if a person has a whole family, it's not going to change in a day. When you decide to make such a cheshbon nefesh, decide to up the matzah, whether it's whatever it is, in whatever areas in life. But you should know that the fact that you're considering it, and the fact that your mind, you're already in that, living in that reichkeit, where a chassid lives, the hanachas of a chassid, the cook of a chassid on the world, on nisyonis, on things that happen, on current events. It's not, it's not Eretz Yisrael, it's Siman Shin Chavtes, it's a din in Shulchan Aruch. That's what's going to get you, not, what he said, what she said. These things are irrelevant. The fact that you're over there already, that itself is a tremendous reichkeit, and that already goes over to the children. These are things that it's a geschmack to spend the time together. When you kachzich, you know that the Rebbe urges and reminds us we're in a time right before Al Safa Geula. We're on the threshold. What are we doing? How do we reflect that in our life? These are cheshbonos that we should make. Mizman lazman. That's what a Chassidische Farbrengen is for. That's what we're here for. And I want to thank all of you for making it out. I want to thank all those that made this entire series possible. Magidish Yurim, my Vad, Rabbi Broin, Rabbi Kasimov, all the Magidish Yurim, and all of you for joining, and Rabbi Levi Nemirovsky and Rabbi Levi Hillel for being on the technical end and making sure it works smoothly. And we should be zeichet to the Gula Shlema with this galus now. Shkoyach.